Welcome back, WrestleRanters, to WrestleRant edition number 51. I'm your host, Bleacher, Bleacher Columnist, Level 2, Graham Jason Matthews, here today to discuss everything from TNA Impact Wrestling, the last night's Friday Night SmackDown broadcast, and even the return of my fan Q&A sessions that have been absent from WrestleRant for several months now. So let's get right down to it. Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night, a great show kicked off with TNA Heavyweight Champion Bobby Roode, claiming that he is the longest reigning World Heavyweight Champion in TNA history. Now that may be true, but that starts next Thursday, as said on the Impact broadcast. I'm not sure if that's 100% true and might come to fruition next Friday, next Wednesday. I'm not sure if it's exactly on Thursday when he breaks the record. I have absolutely no idea, but I certainly hope so, because next week he'll be defending his championship in an open fight night challenge against potential 4 other competitors, which were determined throughout the night on Impact this past week, from AJ Styles, who won a battle royal to earn that spot. Jeff Hardy defeated Anderson to qualify, Bully Ray defeated RVD to qualify, and Kurt Angle defeated Samoa Joe in the main event to qualify as well. Now, the action throughout the night was tremendously done. A lot of the matches were very entertaining, especially the battle royal between AJ Styles and Austin Aries. Now, that is a dream match that I'd love to see down the line. And also, I was a little surprised to see AJ Styles emerge victorious in that battle royal. Now, Austin Aries would have been a better pick, in my opinion, to have in that match to further prove why he is the future of the company, or why he's being perceived as the future of the company after having a tremendous outing against Bully Ray last week at Sacrifice. So hopefully they do something with Austin Aries next week rather than just have him sit on the sidelines, maybe defend his championship. Who knows? But Austin Aries is definitely a pick that I would have gone with to further his feud with Bully Ray, who also qualified for the TNA Heavyweight Championship match next week. So also on the show, we had the furthering of the feud between Daniels, Kazarian, and AJ Styles. Now, last week it was discovered that the whole reason behind this feud was that Styles was found with Dixie Carter in some photos that Daniels and Kazarian presumably took. Now, I'm loving this feud. They've been dragging this feud out since, I believe, January, which has been 5 months in the making. I absolutely loved the Fortune faction last year, so having Daniels, Kazarian, and Styles, all 3 guys who are a part of the faction, go at it is something that I would love to see for a very long time now. And the action between them, the in-ring chemistry between all 3 of them is just amazing. But the storyline standpoint here, adding in Dixie Carter really does nothing for me. I really do dislike Dixie Carter as a television character. She has no business being on television on a consistent basis as much as she is, so she really should be left out of the storyline. However, I am loving the feud regardless, so hopefully they keep it going and they eventually give Styles an out for all these actions that he's been performing with Dixie Carter over the last few weeks. So as a whole, TNA Impact Wrestling was a great show this past Thursday night. A lot of tremendous action. The opening promo featuring Hulk Hogan and Bobby Roode was also very well done. So a lot of the storylines were continued from Sacrifice and going into next week's Open Fight Night, which was successfully hyped for next week. I am loving that segment. I am loving that concept of everything about Open Fight Night. Hopefully it lives up to the hype next week and turns out to be a great show, as I think it will be. Hopefully they start building towards Slammiversary as well, which is their biggest show of the year. It will be their 10th anniversary, so hopefully they do something with that next week. But as a whole, TNA Impact Wrestling is certainly looking good over the last couple of weeks, and I'm certainly hoping that they continue this trend going into live summer editions. So now moving on to Friday Night SmackDown from last night. Another very good show, another very enjoyable show. We had CM Punk and John Laurinaitis kick off the show. This is very interesting. CM Punk has not been seen on SmackDown in a while now. Even though he is a WWE champion, he does not consistently appear on the Friday Night show, and I can't blame him. Who would? Because SmackDown has been lacking star power in recent months anyway. But this is a very effective promo from John Laurinaitis and CM Punk. It helped build the match between Kane and CM Punk for later in the night, as well as get heat on John Laurinaitis, who desperately needed it over the last couple of weeks. After his promo on Monday and slapping John Cena, continuing that onto SmackDown was very well done, especially when he just degraded the entire WWE Universe by the end of that segment. So very well done, including CM Punk and John Laurinaitis. The natural chemistry between those two is just simply awesome on the mic. Now, another highlight that I wanted to talk about, Damien Sandow, whose vignette started appearing the week after WrestleMania and has finally debuted in the WWE as of 2 weeks ago. However, once again, he did not feel that it was necessary to be facing Yoshitatsu this week, So when he walked off, Yoshitatsu called him a chicken. I don't know why Damien Sandow would get offended by that. I don't know why they just didn't use a different vernacular. However, Damien Sandow beating the living shit out of Yoshitatsu was very well done. Showed a lot of intensity from Damien Sandow and has foreshadowed his in-ring ability as to how he can go in the ring and whatnot. That finisher that he used on Tatsu was very impressive, so I'm certainly looking forward to the day that he eventually debuts in the ring in a one-on-one contest. He has a lot of potential, so hopefully WWE doesn't drop it there. Now moving on to the CM Punk and Kane match, another very entertaining match. These guys have a lot of chemistry together. They've been together a lot of times over the last couple of years, but not enough times to make this match feel like it was repetitive and whatnot. It's been a while since these two have gone at it, so I was pleasantly surprised that they ended up having a very good match. Kane and Punk, well, the natural chemistry and history between these two is just there. If you recall, 4 years ago, these guys were tag team partners at Judgment Day 2008. But obviously they weren't going to acknowledge that. But still, I thought it was pretty interesting that they did CM Punk and Kane tag team together at Judgment Day 08. But exactly 4 years later, they clash on a one-on-one match on Friday Night SmackDown. So I thought that was pretty cool. But having CM Punk lose via disqualification, very smart move here, and it furthers Kane's momentum going into his match at Over the Limit. I know it doesn't mean much, but still, at least this is the most heat that Kane has gotten in a very long time since returning. And CM Punk looked vulnerable going into his title match with Daniel Bryan on Sunday, which also helped further the feud between him and Bryan, which has been lacking development as of late. Now moving on to the Santino versus Cody Rhodes match. Rhodes lost to Santino in a 2-minute match after being pinned with the Cobra. I was very disappointed in this segment. This is probably the only part of the show where I felt I was cheated out of. Cody Rhodes should not be losing to comedy figures like Santino Marella, and he obviously has a bright future in the WWE. They just really need to realize that and stop burying this guy. He's been buried all 2012 long. So hopefully they either progress him or this is going somewhere as far as the storyline standpoint goes. But for one thing, I don't want to see the US and IC titles combined, or unified I should say, merely because those titles help get over superstars. I know there's a lot of examples where they didn't, but I'd much rather just keep them separate and give them to different superstars to help give them a push in the company and whatnot. So hopefully they don't end up unifying them by the end of the summer. And the main event match between Sheamus and Randy Orton, a very solid match. I was very pleasantly surprised to see this match go over 20 minutes, as well as end in a clean fashion. I don't remember the last time Randy Orton was pinned on SmackDown. That has been a very long time since that happened. So this is a very awesome match. Hopefully they don't go back to this feud after Over the Limit. I'd much rather see something else like Sheamus and Jericho, because Orton and Sheamus, the feud between those two has been done so many times over the last few years that it just feels repetitive at this point. I don't really want to see it all that much. But an excellent way to close out the show, despite the fact that Sheamus came off as a blatant idiot after he accepted the handshake from Randy Orton, only to be eaten with an RKO. So moving on, the Friday Night SmackDown show as a whole, very entertaining and enjoyable. It provided very good hype for Over the Limit with the Fatal 4-Way match and the John Laurinaitis match versus John Cena. They obviously hyped that. And they also got to... What was the other match that they hyped? Oh, the WWE title match, obviously, between CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. So that was also furthered as well. So very enjoyable. Very entertaining and enjoyable edition of Friday Night SmackDown this past week. Hopefully Over the Limit ends up delivering as I hope. Now moving on to the fan questions. Let me log on to Twitter real quick. These questions were sent to me via my Twitter page. And if you guys would like to ask me anything, you guys can tweet me questions at @CF_us_GSM. So let's get right down to the questions. I don't have much time left, so I'm going to briefly go through all these. Asked first by American Dolphin, would you ever consider a pro wrestling career? Very, very good question. I've been contemplating that for a very long time now, probably. Okay, maybe not a long time, maybe just over the past year and whatnot. But for those that don't know, I do MMA mixed martial arts, which includes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, kickboxing, all that good stuff. So I have somewhat of a background in wrestling, and I know a lot of the moves that they do on television, obviously. But as far as a career goes, I wouldn't make that my main career or pro wrestling career. That's just risk it all right there. If you've seen CM Punk, he was extremely dedicated to become a pro wrestler. I don't know if that I have that kind of ability where I can dedicate my entire life to that kind of thing. I mean, I have expressed some interest in becoming a wrestler, but if I was going to work for WWE, I'd much rather be as a creative writer, in my own opinion. I think I have better abilities in writing than I do in wrestling. But if I had the chance to wrestle for WWE or just wrestle in any wrestling organization in general, I would certainly take that opportunity. I would love to enter a wrestling school, which I do have in my city. It's right down, I mean, it's a couple cities away. It's not that far away. So hopefully I'll be able to enroll in there soon. I'll be able to check it out and see if I like it. So the future is looking bright. Hopefully it ends up coming to fruition as long as I try it. But anyway, moving on to the next question, asked by @LittleReynolds. What does WWE need to do to make us tune in and not tune out? Another very good question, and it kind of changes for the different viewers. It depends on what you like. If you like John Cena and they have every single segment include John Cena, the John Cena fans will obviously be tuning in. So it alters for everybody. But the generic answer that I can give to this question is that they advertise things in advance, because WWE isn't very much known for doing that. A lot of the things, they just do things on the fly, and they don't get the ratings that they hoped. Even though if they do hype things in advance, the ratings don't show it. I don't give a shit about the ratings, so hopefully they continue to hype things going into each show, so they get me excited about each broadcast. Hopefully they continue to do that. And now moving on to the next question, asked by @NudeBSAllowed. He asked, isn't it weird that I found out wrestling is scripted since I was 9? I'd say that's pretty normal. So now moving on to the next question, @HBKLover123. What was your favorite Shawn Michaels moment? I've only been watching wrestling since 2008. So if I said my favorite Shawn Michaels moment was when he super kicked Hulk Hogan in 2005, I would be lying straight to your faces, because I didn't obviously see that live. So I can't really call that my favorite moment. But from what I've seen in the last 4 years from Shawn Michaels, I would say my favorite work from Michaels since I started watching wrestling would have to be his recent involvement in the Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Undertaker feud going into WrestleMania 28. That was probably the most I've liked Michaels since I became a wrestling fan in 2008. So hopefully they bring back Michaels. He is always an entertaining act. But yes, that would have to be my favorite series of moments from Shawn Michaels, either it being at WrestleMania 28 itself or just everything leading up to it, because Michaels is always brilliant when he comes back to WWE television. And moving on to my next question, what's your favorite John Cena moment? Asked by @EnriqueCena. Favorite John Cena moment? Again, like I just said, I've only been watching wrestling since 2008, so I can't honestly answer this without giving some sort of recent answer. But I would have to say is A, recent involvement in the Nexus storyline. I loved his promos against Nexus leading into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and SummerSlam pay-per-view. I love those promos, and I continue to watch him to this day. Either that, when he rapped about The Rock on February 21st, 2011, that was probably one of my favorite promos from him. And his most recent promo of his, I absolutely love, and I've watched it at least a dozen times in the last 2 weeks, when he was talking to The Rock on the last Raw before WrestleMania 28. That was probably my favorite promo from him, and I continue to watch it to this day, merely because it was all real, and it was all the honesty that he used in that promo that really got me intrigued. So now moving on to the final two questions. I'm sorry, this is the final question. Asked by Kyle72828. What do you think the overused line... what line do you think is overused in wrestling promos? A very good question. The only line I could say that comes to mind is, my name is Randy Orton. Randy Orton uses that at the start of every single god-fucking promo that he cuts. But other than that, I can't really honestly answer that, because a lot of the promos that people do cut these days are a lot less limited, so a lot of people can use their own creative standpoints. But as far as like the generic faces and heels goes, I mean, I can't honestly answer that without seeing a little more footage of what people say in their promo these days. But I would have to say, my name is Randy Orton. Randy Orton says that every fucking promo that he cuts. That annoys me. That annoys the hell out of me. So now moving on to my shameless plugs. You guys can follow me on Twitter @7sports_GSM, @SarcasticSmart, and @WWE Visit my website for all the WWE TNA rumors, recaps, and more at nextwrestling.webly.com. Check out Spoilers every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, when we go live every week at that time, I should say. And you guys can check out the archives at blogtalkradio.com/spoilerspodcast. Check out all my other videos, all my dance videos and whatnot. I appreciate all the support. Make sure to subscribe. I just recently hit 75 subscribers, so I really do appreciate that. And check out my work on Bleacher Report just by searching Graham Jason Matthews. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Hopefully you guys have an awesome weekend. And this is GSM signing out. Till next time, guys.